I'm Iris Johnston, and thanks for joining us on Page to Screen, where we'll explore the art and craft of screenwriting and independent filmmaking. This show is a production of the Tennessee Screenwriting Association, a nonprofit educational organization. For more information about the TSA, visit us online at www.tenscreen.com or follow us on Facebook. I'd like to thank our members who turned out tonight in the audience and our studio crew here who make all of this possible. All right, joining us tonight on Page to Screen is Cat Stewart. Cat is the screenplay competition manager for the Nashville Film Festival. Welcome, Cat.
Thank you, Iris.
Hi.
I'm very happy to be here.
Good. So today we're going to talk about screenwriting, contests mostly, among other things. So tell us first a little bit about yourself and how you came to be doing what you're doing in screenplay contests.
Okay. I have been a writer for most of my life. I think my first story was published when I was in the second grade. So writing has always been something that I've done.
Wait, published?
Yeah, published.
Okay.
It was actually McCall's magazine. And it was, it was some time ago, and I unfortunately don't have a copy of it and can't seem to find it. I've been through many, many copies of magazines trying to find it.
You started young?
Started young. I kind of always loved TV, loved film, and gravitated towards that style of writing. I started out like a lot of people do, reading for various production companies. I also read for a number of competitions. I started writing coverage, and of late I've worked for a couple different studios. I just came off a 2-year stint with The Future, which is a Web3 studio. That's kind of a whole new ball of wax that is pretty interesting. I've been associated with Nashville Film Festival for a long time. I started with them doing screening, watching some of the different films that were coming in.
About how long ago was that?
Oh, it was more than 2 decades ago.
Wow.
So yeah, it was crazy. When I started, we would bring a baggie from home to get our VHS tapes. And I did a lot of the PAL screenings, the foreign film screenings, because I had a PAL player that almost no one else had. So it's been quite some time, and now we don't even take DVDs.
No, yeah, it's changed.
It's changed a lot.
We've seen a lot.
And as our crew kind of changed hands in the last 3 years, the screenplay competition kind of just was there, and I wound up taking it over. So,
what did you study in school?
I actually was a major, a film studies major.
Really?
So, yeah, I was. So.
Was that in LA?
Yeah, UCLA.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you really, really loved it from.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I was a Writers Boot Camp fellow. That was way back in the day when Writers Boot Camp was kind of a special honor. So, but you know, it's one of those things. I've had a lot of projects that got really close, and I've had some that have floated around and opened doors for decades. That it's hilarious.
Wow.
To see how long they circulate.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I've heard that some screenplays can just take a very long time to find the right.
Oh, it takes a long time for all of those things. I mean, it does. It takes an ungodly amount of time to get something from the page to the screen.
Right.
I just started sticking my toe into the development world. In 2018, the Nashville Film Festival had a pitch competition, and they asked me to be one of the jurors. Yeah. And unfortunately, our group they didn't get to move on. Our top 3 didn't, because they were ranking it based on scores rather than the top 3 from each group. So I felt bad for them and decided to offer to develop our top 3 projects. But
yeah, I actually got to pitch in
you got to pitch. That was our most recent pitch fest. Correct.
That was really,
and
that was an educational experience.
I am developing
for sure.
2 projects from that as well.
Yeah,
so,
great.
Yeah.
There were some cool ones in there.
Yeah.
So last 3 or 4 years is your 4th year working with the Nashville Film Festival. And we are hoping to talk a lot about the screenplay competitions. And I guess if you want to tell me more about ours here.
Sure. Nashville is special in terms that we have a really exceptional jury. Everyone is industry. All of the producers that read for me have produced something within the last 2 years. That's one of my requirements to be a juror. I have some readers that are also in the industry that read screenplays. We have multiple levels of readers. We have readers that are just enthusiasts about screenplays, and so you get an actual audience kind of viewpoint from those readers, and then they go on up as the script progresses to the more professional readers. So
I love that it's producers on the, you're calling it the jury?
Yeah,
Is that
the
what you called
jury.
it? So that's like after the screenplay has been read by other readers,
Right.
which are the gatekeepers, kind of.
yeah,
right?
kind of, right, yeah. And
Okay.
and I have a number of production companies that come to me for films, and I mean, it doesn't necessarily, most of the time, it's anything that is at least makes our quarterfinals is hosted on our Google Drive.
Huh?
So I have several people that shop that for films as they make it. So
Is that pretty typical of most screenplay competitions?
I will say no,
Yeah.
because part of it has to do with my industry relationships, but also, and our festival's long-term, situation of being a Oscar qualifying
Yeah.
festival and being fairly well known
Yeah.
and well respected. So it's that combination of things and that has people interested.
So there are a lot of screenplay contests, right, or competitions.
There are.
So maybe just talk us through some of the other ones out there, maybe what's unique to them.
Okay, that's fine. I think there's 2 schools of thought. If you're a writer and you just kind of want to know, you just want somebody to read your work. I mean, that's kind of core to being a writer. A lot of people enter a competition just because they want somebody to read what they wrote. And it doesn't, if you're more interested in that, you can find a small contest or an inexpensive contest to enter. If you're interested in a career, there's only a handful of festivals, contests that I would even recommend it, because most of them do nothing for writers. Tracking B is one. I know personally people who have had their career made from these or started from these competitions. Page is one.
The name of the competition is called Page.
That is,
okay.
it is it. It's a rather large competition.
Okay, I've heard
So
of that.
yeah, Austin Film Festival, it's been more powerful in years past, but they still, I think they still work really hard to do things the right way, and that they still try to help the writers that are put in to move on, so or to get attention. The Nickel Fellowship, it's one of the most prestigious. They get so many entries. They don't have the greatest track record at picking hit movies, but it's an opportunity to meet a lot of people. So it's definitely worth worth it.
doing.
Yeah, worth going.
So if
through.
you're a new writer, maybe don't go for the bigger ones right away.
I would say, that's probably not a bad idea. Find an inexpensive contest, enter it, and see how you do. That's probably, don't spend a whole lot of money entering competitions.
what would be the benefits and advantages to submitting it to a screenplay contest, you know, versus, I guess, trying to just get it out to producers or something?
If you've got something that's extremely commercial, you can cold pitch anyone. Literally, you can cold pitch managers, you can cold pitch agents, you can cold pitch companies. It's kind of, you want to make sure it's bulletproof before you do that, because if you...
Well, is a screenplay contest a good place to see if it's bulletproof?
Sometimes. I mean, they're subjective no matter what. I mean, I run a really tight ship, and I try really hard to make sure everyone gets a fair read, but I promise things will always, you know, there's always objective viewpoints that aren't necessarily the right objective viewpoint.
Well, it's an art form. Yeah,
right, it's an art form.
So you can't be totally objective. There's some screenplay contests will offer notes or coverage to the person who sends it in.
Correct.
Yes. So I'm wondering if you could tell us the difference. Let's start with the difference between coverage and notes.
Certainly.
Okay. Let's start with that.
Coverage is a term that a lot of people use that for notes as well. It's basically a term that comes from the studios where readers, one of my old jobs, gets the script, we read it, we write a quick synopsis of it, and then we kind of give it a pass or, you know, a recommend. Most of them are passes.
There's just two. There's not.
No, there's a consider. I've ever written one consider in the whole time I've read.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I've never written a recommend. So I know.
That's really
because
sad.
It's
They're not encouraging.
Right. It's just the way that the scripts usually come in. That's usually the situation. Okay. So and you kind of hit the highlights of what might work for the script and what doesn't work for the script. So we start with what your ambition is for the project, and then try to take you through what you need to do to get there. And rather than doing a pass, consider, recommend, we explain everything to you, like where it's short and where you are on a scale from 1 to 5. Like, are you a 1 when it comes to your dialogue, or are you a 4?
And what are the? Do you mind breaking down what the categories are? So dialogue might be 1.
Oh yeah, for sure. Dialogue is 1. The structure of your story, because I know, especially being from an independent festival, you know, we try to honor stories that aren't structured, but I think it's irresponsible for anyone to tell you you can break in with a script that doesn't meet the basic structural. Yeah. I mean, there's some really great scripts out there that have been written without structure that could be very entertaining as movies, but nobody's going to take a chance on them. So especially for a break-in script, if you write, you know, Batman, you've got latitude maybe later on to do something that you wrote that isn't that way.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about log lines. I know they're very important. We go over these pretty much every week in the TSA meetings.
A logline is basically a verbal pitch of your idea. That's basically what it is.
Okay.
And I've come to appreciate that more working from the studio side and having to decide what projects that I needed to invest my time in. And also having done coverage for such a long time.
Yeah.
I've learned that if the logline, and here's another thing, if the logline is not good, you won't get requests for your script. If you've got an ace logline, you will get a lot of requests for your script.
That's kind of encouraging and discouraging all at the same time.
Right.
But we can work on our log lines.
Absolutely.
And I have heard you say if you're having trouble with the log line, there's a good chance your story's...
Yeah, you're having problems with your story. There's a difference between an idea and a concept. Most people try to write from an idea, and their log line tries to represent an idea. A concept is a drilled down version of that idea. So
Okay.
yeah, so if you can't easily write your log line, you know you're probably still in idea phase and you haven't honed yourself to the point where you can write that log line.
Do you try to give log lines a word count limit or a sentence
25
limit?
words. If
Okay.
you can't do it in 25 words, it's probably not a commercial concept. Yeah, it freaks people out. I've seen
hard.
longer ones. I've seen longer ones on hit movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, as a general rule, if you can't do it in 25 words, yeah.
Okay, so let's just break down the pieces that need to be in the log line to help make it work.
Certainly. Obviously, you need to have your protagonist in the log line. That seems like a given, but you'd be surprised how many log lines you get with
that don't have
a protagonist. Right.
right.
Your antagonist needs to
right.
be in the log line. If you don't have an antagonist in the log line, it's probably going to be a very dialogue heavy film.
Yep.
Because you have obstacles for you put obstacles in there. Most of the time obstacles don't belong in the log line. That's just something that the person will face.
So not obstacles.
No obstacles. Yeah.
But
stakes. Stakes are everything. Stakes are why I stick around to see the movie.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, if we don't have stakes, why do we care?
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Why do we care that Little Miss Sunshine is going to a beauty pageant? Why do we stay for that?
That's right. Why do we stay? What are the stakes in there?
Yeah, the stakes are that she's going to be embarrassed, and her father, who is super interested in winning and is everything to her father,
Right.
who is actually the protagonist, not Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that's, he's going to have his daughter lose and be embarrassed. And to him, that's the worst possible thing that can happen. That's part of his flaw, which is another piece that needs to be in your log line.
The flaw?
The flaw.
The flaw needs to be in
character's
there
flaw.
too. Okay.
And the
Not
character's
the ending though. It doesn't require an ending.
No, you don't have to have the ending if you've got the stakes.
Okay.
You're setting up. You want to tease me to ask for the script to read it, and the reader's time is paramount. There's so much material out there. A lot of material are stories that are being retold. They're just regurgitations of 5 or 6 other movies somebody's seen. They're not personal. I think when it's a personal story, it connects in a way that no other story can. And the emotion needs to be there, in your story. And if you can get it in your log line, it's great.
Do you enjoy writing log lines yourself?
Absolutely not.
I like hearing that. Okay.
Absolutely not. I
Good.
don't know anyone. I know several people who are exceedingly good at it, and they don't like it either. So I don't know that
Universally, nobody enjoys log lines.
No, because because they come with a lot of baggage, because everybody puts their whole entire career into that one particular log line.
Yes. So some of our members have sent in their log lines.
All right, I'm so excited.
After talking about it, to see if they're going to meet the high expectations of Cat Stewart.
That's right.
No,
to see if I would request your
yes,
script.
if they even come close to what a log line should be. So do you want to take a look at a few?
Sure.
Okay. So let's do that. Let's take a look at them. A couple in witness protection just want a quiet life in Florida. But when Detroit hitmen show up gunning for them, they must improvise to save themselves and the lives of their 2 innocent friends. Go.
Okay. So the first thing I want to know is, why do they want a quiet life in Florida? That seems like a strange goal. And Detroit hitmen show up gunning for them. That we have an antagonist, but we have 2 people, so I'm not sure who's the protagonist. Are they both in this together? One of them's still going to be the protagonist. The Detroit hitmen, that is very vague. show up gunning for them? Did they do something? I'd rather just know that up front. They must improvise. That's also extremely vague. That doesn't tell me anything. Maybe they're MacGyver. That wouldn't be that hard for them, right? So what flaw do they have that makes being improvising a very difficult thing to accomplish their goal of saving themselves and the lives of their two innocent friends? That seems really that seems really complicated. Saving yourself is enough stakes.
Okay, it is. Okay.
So yeah, so it seems really complicated.
Okay, you are tough.
Yeah, I am tough. And I would also, it says on here, it says genre is drama, but I would consider this to be an action film because we've got hitmen gunning people.
I would agree.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, let's move on to this next one. A 39-year-old should-have-been musician's last shot at a meaningful career puts her on a collision course with family obligations to her suicidal brother, their senile mother, and the personal reality of the family curse.
Okay, that is very complicated.
There was.
The best films are simple. The ideas are very simple. They could have one of these things happening. But again, this sounds like a film we've seen before. And should have been. That tells me that that person maybe has talent. I want to know why they don't have a meaningful career. And what is their meaningful career? What does this musician want? What is the musician's goal?
The word meaningful is not
enough. Right. And I'm sure the last shot at a meaningful career is supposed to be the stakes, but why do we care? There's a whole lot of failed musicians, you know.
Yeah.
What's special about this person that makes us want to root for her to succeed as a musician? And what is the family curse got to do with it? That's a confusion. Now I'm thinking it's got some kind of, you know, other genre going on besides drama.
All right, that's a yep.
So yeah,
It might have had 25
won't request this one either.
All right, here comes the next one.
Yes.
A 12-year-old boy, frustrated by his family's lack of Christmas spirit, uses a magical website to call forth the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future to teach his parents and sister a better appreciation for the holiday.
That's a little better. We've got a frustrated child.
Yeah.
But we don't have stakes. You know, that's kind of the thing that's missing there. I mean, I think it's got some stuff going on here. It says it's a family comedy, so what I don't take comedy from that. I take drama from that. If you are writing a comedy, your logline has to have something in it that's an inherently funny premise.
Okay.
It could become a funny premise, but it's not in this log line.
Okay.
You know, it just like maybe something's crazy about the ghosts or something. You know, they get confused when they come through it or something. So they definitely are missing that comedy wording there to make that something that would be requested.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah, it has to have that inherently comic premise. You know, we talked about the title Cocaine Bear. It's a great title. You assume it's going to be funny. It might not be, but that it sells itself.
It's a serious
drug
addiction story.
Yeah. Right, and that's totally wrong.
Okay.
They should have used a different title.
Okay, the last one. A children's magician and a group of neighborhood kids get sucked into a magical portal to another dimension where they must find a way to escape while being pursued by a demon who sees them as a way to expand his kingdom into our world.
This is another one that is quite overcomplicated. I don't know how a demon is going to fit into neighborhood kids. That sounds kind of on the horror side. Kids and horror, that's kind of scary. A child's magician, some of those things just don't fit. It says it's a family adventure. I think they're kind of thinking of Jumanji maybe a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. There's no, I guess finding a way, escaping is their main goal here. But usually with these kinds of films, and we don't have a protagonist. We have a magician and a group of kids. We have a lot of people in this cast. And generally in this kind of setup, you have someone who does something that causes the problem. So that's what we need to see in the log line. Like the nuisance kid does something and causes them to get
or is the magician,
or the magician
did he do
screwing
something
around
wrong?
with the wrong,
But we don't know.
some kind of secret magic thing, and he does something wrong and gets them sucked into it.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's just like, again, it's way overcomplicated, which is basically saying I'm throwing everything at the kitchen sink to see what sticks, and because it's not in and of itself a concept yet. It's just, it's more of an idea than a concept. I will say that's probably true of most of those.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, we're looking at ideas here, more so than concepts.
I know.
And it's just narrowing it down.
Well, that was fun. Thank you for going through all the log lines with us. This has been so incredibly informative and helpful, Kat. Thank you so much for joining us here in the studio. Good luck at the Nashville Film Festival. Is there a website where people could go to learn more about the festival?
There is. It's www.nashvillefilmfestival.org.
Great. To find out more about the Tennessee Screenwriting Association, including our meeting, schedule, and programs, or to become a member, visit us online at www.10screen.com or check out our Facebook page. We meet on Zoom every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central, except for the last Wednesday of the month when we meet here in the studio. Kat, do you have any final words for our fellow storytellers out there?
Absolutely. Write with emotion. Make your reader feel something, and you're well on your way to being successful.
That was wonderful. Great. Good job. Thank you very much. I'm Iris Johnston. Page to Screen. Nice.